Okay, welcome to our Pokemon Emerald slide tutorial. So today I'm going to talk about how I made the game. Also, briefly, I'm going to talk about some updates that I did recently. But here, as you see, I have created a new, better looking title. It looked horrible before. Added our Team Aqua at the bottom. So what we're going to talk about today, I added support for at least 4 gyms now. You can get the 1st, 2nd, 6th, 7th, and maybe 3rd. I haven't tested it, but I think the 3rd's working too, and already the patch is on my Discord. It has been actually for a couple days if you have looked at the patch recently. But we can go and we can battle the 7th gym here. As you see, it just lets us go straight to the end there, and we can obviously beat them, assuming we have a strong enough team. Now, the second main thing that I added was this teleport option inside the start menu. So we can now teleport to our last heal location, and this prevents all soft lock. So if you are ever soft locked, you can just teleport out and it should take you to somewhere where you are not soft locked. So that should solve that problem. Now you can complete up to 4 gyms. You can beat the Elite Four, obviously, assuming you have beaten the 6th gym. And you can now, get rid of all soft locking by teleporting out. So that's pretty cool, and we are now going to jump into the tutorial on how I actually made the game. So here, if you don't know, we in Gen 3 Romhacking now, we aren't using binary tools anymore that edit the actual ROM file anymore. We have decompiled source code of the entire game that we can access. So every single file in the game is now broken up into individual C files that hold the code for the game, script files that hold our overworld scripting events. All of the graphics files are in the graphics folders. We can access them individually instead of having to do a bunch of complicated, use tools and offsets to edit things directly inside of the ROM. We now have each individual file that we can edit directly, and then we compile it. We run make, and we compile the C code into the thumb assembly that the GBA, the processor, runs. And it's pretty cool. It allows us to do way more than we could with binary, or at least way easier than we could with binary. And we also have some pretty cool tools that we are able to work with PoriMap, our mapping program, which is better than the binary mapping program, and PoriScript, which is our high-level scripting language we have for our overworld events, which makes scripting in the game super easy. So if you are unfamiliar with any of the things that I'm talking about, make sure to go and watch our tutorial series. I have lots of tutorials on how to use these decomps. Now, the ones that you need to know to use this, to follow the rest of this tutorial, you need to watch the 0.0, the setting up the decomps tutorial. And then you're going to want to watch the PoriMap series because we need to have PoriMap set up, and you're going to want to understand metatile behaviors and what they are. So make sure to watch the setup videos to actually get your repository set up to be able to build your, your base pokemonemerald or your fire red leaf green. And then you are going to want to watch the PoriMap videos to make sure you understand, you have PoriMap set up, you know what a metatile behavior is. And then from there, I think that's all we really need to jump immediately into it. So basically, how our metatiles work, if these are our grass metatiles, if we go to tools, we go to the tile set editor. Here it's set to ice. Now right now not every single one of these is set to ice that is supposed to be, but a bunch of these are normal, but we can still slide on these in the game. If you remember, I set those other ones to ice manually, and that's one way how I could have made this. I could have set every single metatile manually to an MB ice metatile behavior, and the MB ice metatile behavior runs the code that forces your movement to slide. And I could have done that. It would have been easy but tedious to set every metatile behavior individually. But there are obviously better ways to do that. So instead of setting all of the metatile behaviors individually, after I'd done the first couple, I figured, obviously there should be a way to do this programmatically. and there is. So we can go to the menotilebehavior.c file, and this handles all of the functions. These are Boolean functions, which means they return true or false depending on whether or not you are engaged on that type of tile. And the overworld, the functions, the code that handles the overworld, they call these they call these functions all the time, constantly. They're like, is this tile this type of tile that you're standing on? Is the tile you're standing on this type of tile? Is this tile you're moving onto this type of tile? And so on and so forth. So here, instead of normally this MB ice here, it is much smaller. It doesn't have all of these extra added flags to it. So what I did is, this is just an if statement for this metatile behavior is ice, and it takes the metatile behavior, which is going to be the behavior of the tile that you're standing on, and then it is going to compare it, the equals equals compare. So if it's equal to ice, then we're going to, return true. We are on a metatile behavior ice. Now what I am doing is I'm adding or the two pipelines, the vertical lines, or metatile behavior is MB normal, which is all of the normal tiles in the entire game, or MB cave, which is all of the cave tiles, or shallow water, puddle, sand, or also this one here, S tile bit attributes, metatile behavior, and ampersand, title flag surfable. So what this does is it looks inside of this tile bit attributes function, and this list, this array, and it searches it by our metatile behavior, because these metatile behaviors that are all caps, they're constants. They're macro defined constants that when the game compiles, it replaces them with a number directly before it compiles. It's a preprocessor thing. So this is really just UX20. As you see here, it says hashtag define MBICE UX20, and this one is 0x08. They're just numbers that they get replaced with. So this is just an array index. It's just indexing this array for whatever number we have here, and then saved in this array is a bit field that has the flags for the metatile behavior, and these flags to have a couple different things that they determine about the about the metatile, and one of these flags is flag surfable. So by calling this bit field out, we call this bit field, and then we use a bitwise AND operator with the tile flag surfable, and this makes sure that this whole logical statement inside of this parentheses, it's only true if the tile that is this metatile behavior that is being called from this function that we're checking, if this metatile is surfable, then this is true, and then we're oring that with everything else. So or. If any of these are true, then this is being treated as an ice tile. If any of them are true, it's an ice tile. Now, I also added ice to this, well, I think ice was already on this force movement tile. I added normal to this force movement tile one, and this ice 2, I made the same as ice, the regular ice. I'm not sure that ice 2 matters. I think it might have to do with the other type of ice, so it's not really important. But either way, it works the way that I did it. I also added ice to the normal metatile behavior as well, to make sure. And I also added, I don't think surfing was on the normal metatile behaviors as well before I added it. But I clearly added it there. Now, if we want to, again, look at this tile flag surfable thing, we can go here. Here's the tile bit attributes. So here are the metatile behaviors inside this array. Like I said, they're in an order, and you index the array by using the actual value. You can think about it as an integer, but obviously the game is treating it as hexadecimal. But these integer array indexes are where we store our flags, and we have multiple different flags for different things. All of these, pond water, semi-deep, deep water, waterfall, these are all surfable. So this is why our waterfall, we're able to go across the waterfall, because it's a surfable tile, and we have set to any tile with the surfable metatile ID to now be an ice tile. And that's all it takes for the ice tile. So from there, we have now created, all of our tiles are ice in the game. The main thing hindering us back from being able to complete it is obviously if we started the game, as is, we would not be able to make it past this line normally. Normally, there is nothing here we cannot go past. So we you know, at the point we can get to this long grass here, we can go slide, we can slide over here, we can slide over here, but then we're just going back and forth forever. You know, we can get here and then we can go up, but that doesn't help us. We slide back here, back and forth forever, but you can't stop here anywhere. You can't stop here anywhere, so you can't make it out of Route 101. It's impossible. So I added a flower here. Now normally flowers are MB normal, but to make it so that we don't have to use the MB normal for the flowers, I actually changed the flower from MB normal to just a random unused one. It doesn't matter, but since MB unused is not inside of our checks, inside of our MB ice, inside of our MB ice check, since it's not here, no unused is here, it's not going to treat it as an ice tile, so it gives us a spot to stop on, and that is obviously what we need. So we also use collisions, you know, to bounce off of, so we use any item that has a collision. We use NPCs have their own implicit collisions. We use, you know, we add rocks to things to make it possible. We try wherever we can to make it look, you know, like we haven't added much. Like I added some flowers here to make it possible to go backwards into the forest. Inside the forest, you know, I changed the order of things. I added these flowers here so that you can control how you get into Rustboro, things like that. You know, we had to add to make it possible. I also, to make the water possible, I had to go around and I probably actually haven't done it in every single section, so some water's probably maybe impassable, because normally the water tiles are these water tiles here. You'll understand what that means more if you watch my Pory-map videos, but these water tiles are water, and you can't cross over into a water tile normally without using surf. But by making all of them the 3, which I can just do with the bucket, it's not something you have to do manually, but by making them all 3, then you can, you know, take advantage of being able to walk anywhere and being able to slide anywhere, and we did that to all of the routes. So 3 is the water in all the routes. See here, over here, you can't get over here, so I left it. You know, it doesn't matter, it's water over there, but we changed the water to all be 3. You know, there are other changes that happen, like in Victory Road, I moved some of the rocks out of the way. I took the flash out so you didn't have to use flash because I think it's annoying. You know, things like that were edited. I added a rare candy shop, which, you know, you can watch my Pory script videos on how to create shop scripts. And, you know, that was just for people to be able to play it easier. But, you know, I also added the teleport menu that I talked about, and I have a separate video on the teleport menu that's actually going to be part of the main series, since this one isn't really part of the series anywhere. But the teleport video is going to be part of the main series. I've already recorded it, and it'll probably be uploaded before this one. And in that teleport video, you know, it's going to be titled adding to your start menu will be the title of the video, or editing the start menu, something like that. But anyway, I'll get more into that in that video specifically, because it's kind of cool and, you know, not that complicated at the end of the day. So for the most part, that's all that, you know, was required to create Emerald Slide. It was not the most complicated Romhack to create. In fact, it was pretty easy. And, you know, that's kind of the point, is that these Romhacks with the decomps are incredibly easy to get into creating, like insanely easy to create. You know, sometimes things can be tedious, sometimes the learning process can take a while, but once you understand what you're doing, there is so much that you can do in such a short amount of time compared to the past. So you don't have to have as much implicit knowledge about the games, because there's a lot of things that we can take advantage of. We have, you know, the ability to use VS Code to search for anything that we want to in the game. If we want to search for a flag or a function, and we can find, you know, our project wide anytime an instance of a phrase is used in the entire project, and we can use this to search for, you know, all of our macros and our scripts for our overworld behavior. So if you're confused as to something happens, if you want to know how the camera shakes work inside of the scripts, we can search for camera shake, and then we can find how the code actually caused the camera shake in you know, its own scripts, things like that that we can leverage with the decomps that we can take advantage of, and make, you know, ROM hacking easier than it's ever been before. So that is the point of this video, and the point of the series as a whole, and the point of Emerald Slide is kind of to shed light on that fact that we are living in the golden age of ROM hacking. It is way easier than it's ever been. It's easier than it's ever going to be. ROM hacking is where it's going to, like, it is in a new age. And these decomps are what have brought it into this age. So I definitely recommend checking it out, even if you don't think that, you know, programming and ROM hacking is something you normally would be able to do. Even if this stuff scares you, this is some of the, you know, this C code is some of the most C code that we've interacted with in my videos, period, between this and the start menu. For the most part, we're using a scripting language, PoriScript, that is much easier to understand, much simpler. The defines of its concepts are, you know, much more contained inside of the things that we can do in the overworld, and it makes it a lot easier to work with and understand, and it's the power of it is, you know, almost unlimited. We can do so much with it to create different scenes and, you know, your plot lines, everything, all of the scripts for your event objects, every object in the game, every NPC, every Pokeball, everything. It's all done with that, and relatively simple at the end of the day, even for beginners, even for people who have never coded before, for never programmed before. So if you're interested at all in learning your own ROM hacks, learning how to create them, make sure to subscribe, make sure to check out our tutorial series. We have a whole playlist that should be in a somewhat, you know, decent order, or you can just start at the beginning, and then when you start to feel comfortable, make sure to hit the Pori map and the Pori script sections, and then you can go the beginnings to get the setup going and kind of understand the syntax. And then you can kind of spread out and, you know, pick whichever ones you want, whichever you're interested in, whichever you want to create at the time. So that is all I'm going to have for this video. If you have any questions, make sure to leave a comment here in the Discord. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next one. Pokemon Emerald Slide should have another update. It's not going to be super soon, but I will have an update somewhat soon with the ability to beat all 8 gyms instead of just the 5 that I have currently set up. It shouldn't take too long, though. I also am not ready to post the source code just because I haven't cleaned it up, and I haven't gotten my GitHub ready for the project, for the you know, the Team Aqua project. So once I have that set up, I will post it in Discord in the release channel for the hack. It shouldn't take long at all. It'll be this week for sure. Probably this weekend that I'll have the source code up, and you'll be able to check it out, and I'll probably link it in the description as well at that point. But anyway, that's all. Have a good one, and we'll see you on the next one.